Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. Manchester United 0, Everton 1. Shocking, disgraceful, terrible performance. We blew the opportunity. We blew the chance. I'm a bit of a loss for words right now, but I'm sure I'll find them very, very quickly. Obviously, if you just joined us over from the watch along, you know where I pretty much stand. But listen, we're gonna get into the player ratings, which I could just unanimously give the whole team one rating, and it would be the brown emoji. But listen, we're gonna get into some other things as well. We're gonna break down the match, dissect it. Please make sure you smash the like button, get that done, people. It is important to the channel. If you're new and you just subscribed, or you didn't subscribe, subscribe if you enjoy the content and hit the notification bell icon. We got people in the chat. Get involved in the chat. Get in there. Give us your thoughts, your opinions, and we will do also a call-in segment as well. But I mean. Yeah, Axe here says you can't justify this shit, bro. I mean, why are you making an assumption of trying to justify it? What is there to justify? There's nothing to justify. The team had an absolutely disgraceful performance. It was terrible. Probably one of the worst that we've seen. I'm a bit shocked that it was that bad in terms of we were home. We were on a decently good run unbeaten. And we had a good opportunity, and we absolutely went out there and basically turned it to a charity and gave it away. So there's nothing to really justify today. I mean, what's there to justify? Lucky says Xerxes didn't use no pace in the match. Well, Xerxes, you can tell Xerxes was not sharp, and that's because of a lack of, game time. I mean, you can see it in his first touch. You can see he's a bit slow to react. Kind of feels like, last season, the beginning of last season when he first came into the team. He was slow in reactions. His first touch wasn't great. He looked off of it, but it's not the reason why we lost. We lost because we played very shit as a team. We lost because we had 18 shots or more, and we had about 3 on target at that time. So we lost because our players were highly dysfunctional, couldn't make 5-yard passes, looked like they never played with each other, even though they've been doing this for over a year now. And there's no excuses to make, but it seems like no Cunha, no Party, and not even Sesko. So, we lose 2 players out of the front 3. We have the same players, basically, it's the same team, barring the goalkeeper and Embuemo from last season. And it seems like we put in a performance from last season. And that's the loss of 2 players. 2. Our goal scoring threat was non-existent. Our creativity was non-existent. So efforts were there, but Lucky says, but they were slow in attacking plan. They were slow, and my major criticism of it was in the opening 10-15 minutes, we were very slow. We looked very nervous in terms of we were playing scared. We're passing the ball sideways a lot. We weren't going forward enough. We weren't doing enough with the ball. Everton get a red card. We go up a man. We still didn't push. They score a goal out of it, which we had plenty of opportunities on that goal specifically. There was about 4 players that could have stopped that from happening. Nobody stopped it. They scored a goal. It was a very good shot, very good goal, but definitely could have been stopped. Bruno was a training cone. De Ligt didn't get the angle right. Whoever it was, Ahmad or Yoro got a touch on it, but it wasn't enough. He didn't get enough on it, and Lemons touched it and didn't save it. So, And then after they scored that goal, then we decided that we wanted to pick it up. Then we decided we wanted to go more forward. Then we decided we wanted to be more attacking. So for me, that's one major criticism. I have that directly on the players because they're the ones that are starting the match. They know the game plan. They didn't come out with the right mentality. They weren't executing it properly. And then you go behind, and then you want to go and actually try and play. So, you know. We had everything sat for us today, and we did nothing. Ray says same old, same old. Well, yep, today. I mean, you bring it up during the live, Ray. You did. Before we went live, you said we have another opportunity, just like we've had in the past, and we're gonna see, with the test, if it's gonna be the same old, same old. And we miserably failed the test. Miserably failed. We got a fucking 0 today. Not a 46, not a 62. We got a big fat F today. Big fat F. So, Lucky says Mason Mount, Brian and Buemo made some difference. Xerxes had headers, no pace, no power, no pace. Listen, I kind of feel a bit bad for Xerxes in the fact that, like, I think it was always, like, I think we were quite hopeful that he would have a good game and an impact, but with the lack of playing time he's had, and to come in, really, we needed the rest of the team to sort of kind of carry him, and the fact that the rest of the team was just about as sharp and just about looking like they played as much minutes as Joshua Xerxes this season, even though they haven't, and they've played way more football. I feel a bit bad for him, because I'm sure he's going to get pelters. He didn't have a good performance, but, like, and people will argue, and I get the point. You play for Manchester United, you got to be ready no matter what. But I just think with the amount of time he's played, you could see it in his game. You could see the lack of sharpness. You could see how it just wasn't there, and he's not going to find that answer in the middle of the match, because he's clearly just behind on it. So, I think Mason Mount did all right to come in, and I think Kobe Mainoo did good, and I think actually to come out of today, I think probably what's going to come out in the fan base is the bigger argument of get Bruno Fernandes the fuck out of there, and push him forward, especially now because Sesko ain't there and clearly Xerxes is not sharp enough. So push Bruno up, let Bruno play up there. Bruno did well in the attacking third, but Bruno in the midfield was a complete disaster. The bro was a training cone. He didn't help in any way. He didn't make a tackle. He didn't cut any passing lanes. He did absolutely nothing to help in the midfield in terms of getting the ball back. So, but when he was in and around the box, he had some very good shots. He's good there with the passing and sort of the link up play. And when Mainoo came on, I listen, the game was different and it changed than from the beginning, but still he had good touches. He had good, vision on it, and he was calm. He was calm. Everybody else was panicking. I know they're trying to make something happen, but Kobe's trying to make something happen too, but he's still calm, and he was still collected, and he was still, actually making passes and actually getting things off and making good runs and doing good link-up play. So, game management was wild. Cheers, says Andresito. Joshua Xerxes, headers, no pace. We can't keep having this manager in charge. Well, I'm not gonna flip. I'm not like you. I don't flip back and forth one game to the other. I'm not gonna flip on Amorim because we just lost this fucking match. We have a full season ahead of us. So, we lost because we played too slow and sideways. Yeah, I agree, and I bet you, I can bet you any money in the world, Ruben's gonna say that. He's probably already said it because he literally said it before we fucking started the game. So clearly, the message from the manager is to not do those things, and you tell the players to not do those things, and the players go out on the pitch and do those things anyway. So, our overall performance, we were tonight disjointed in the first half. We were disjointed, dismembered. It's not even the correct adjective, but I mean, we were discombobulated. We put in. Listen, I am stunned that we put in a performance that we looked like we just started the season, had no preseason, and we just met up for the first time. I'm stunned at the fact that we've somehow reverted. Like, we did a last international break. We came back to play Liverpool, and we stuck to our guns, and we actually played like a cohesive team. We go on this international break. We come back, and we did what I had on my concern the last time we went on an international break on a good run before we played Liverpool. And we came back, and we looked like we didn't know each other. We forgot how to play. the football that we were playing. We forgot everything that we did. And I'm shocked in that way. So yeah, sideways and backwards. I know what you guys are saying. Andresito, 3 defenders in the back at home via a bottom level team with 10 men. Well, I mean, the second half it didn't really shape up like that after he made the changes. Because even Luke Shaw became sort of like a second left wing back. Players need to be in the box. Lucky says a lot of crossing on Ahmad Diallo, probably worst performance. Well, I mean, he struggled immensely today. No players above a 3. Well, yeah. You have to ask for his sacking. I will not ask for his sacking because it's not a good performance today, but I just don't. I'm not flipping on the manager after a fucking one performance. This is not happening. I don't care. You go ask for his sacking. I'm not doing it. Like, you're not going to convince me to do it. No, Eric, that's a cop-out. Xerxes, like every other United player, should be ready when called upon. Well, I just said that in my own argument, but I'm not trying to give him a cop-out. But what I'm saying is, I just, in terms of the game, I think if the rest of the team played well, he still would have had the same performance. He clearly wasn't ready, and you could see it in his game. I've seen Joshua Xerxes play. I've seen him be good. I've seen him at the top of his game. His touches were nowhere near it. His reactions were nowhere near it. And I get the thing, like, no excuses. You got to be ready for Manchester United. You're a Manchester United player. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think we should force so much other. It shouldn't just be totally one-sided to Xerxes because he didn't have a good performance and he was way off of it. But I mean, the rest of the team was shit. So they didn't help his teammate out. Yeah, you know what I mean? His teammates didn't help him out in the fact that, like, there was always a chance he was going to struggle. There was always a chance he was going to be a bit off of it with the lack of minutes he plays, and you would like your teammates to sort of have your back. And if you're going to struggle, support your teammate by having a good game and carrying the fucking guy. But again, it's like I look at them more, Richard, and I blame them even more because they're the ones that have been playing more football. They're the ones that have more game time, and they drop to his level. So I think it's even worse for them than it is for Xerxes. When Bruno have a good game for Portugal, always have a good shit game with United. Well, listen, I think in the attack again, I think Bruno was all right, but you are blinded. I'm not blinded. I'm not fucking, I'm not a flip-flopper. I'm just not a flip-flopper. That's all it is, Axe. I'm not blinded. I'm not blinded. And I'm realistic. Ask for his sack and go waste your energy and go waste your time asking for his sack and go speak into the void of nobody listening because he's not going to get sacked. He's not going to get sacked no matter how loud you scream, no matter how much you say it. He ain't getting sacked right now because we just did one of the worst performances ever. He's not getting sacked off of one performance. It's totally irrational. Totally irrational. Yeah, Amarim out. Good. I'm glad. Be Amarim out. That's great for you. I'm not. And anybody else that wants to be Amarim out, you're allowed to be. Go quite ahead. But don't try to convince me to be Amarim out because I'm not going to say it. Because I'm not. I am with the manager at the moment. Our realistic game this season is top 9, top 8. Well, Lucky, you know what? I give you the credit because you've been really consistent with that. You've been saying it the whole time. And you've been saying that the whole time, we've been here. So, how are you realistic backing the worst manager in the EPL? How am I realistic? Because I'm not going to waste my time on something that isn't going to happen. I know Ineos' standpoint. I know Ruben's standpoint. I know where the team is. I know what is possible of this season. One result is not a good result that we had today. It was a very bad performance. I don't blame the manager fully for it. I think the players have to take a lot of the blame for today, for sure. The Ruben has to get blamed as well because clearly, I don't know, they weren't prepared in the best possible way. But he's not going to get sacked. So why am I going to waste my time screaming about something that's not going to happen? He's not going to get sacked right now. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to waste my time speaking about it. It's a very boring conversation. Every week you come here when When we win, you got nothing to say. When we lose, you come in here and you ask for his sacking. It's a very boring argument. People are over it. The majority of people are not talking about getting him sacked because they know it's not going to happen. There's a lot more games to be played. So that's how I'm realistic. How I'm realistic is I know he's going to be here for the next game, and he's going to be here for the next game, and he's going to be here in January. That's how I'm realistic. That's how I'm being realistic. So I'm going to be talking about things that are actually going to be happening, and I'm not going to go into a fantasy land. Remember Grimsby and last season. I remember. I don't forget things. I know what's happening. I don't really care, though. We're talking about this match, and now we got another match that we got to refocus and go on to. But we're talking about this match. Richard says, yes, top eight is what I expect. Well, I mean, you can't really go lower than that, can you, Richard? Again, I was still pushed for the team to go as high as possible, and you had your concerns the other day. And, maybe a little bit more justified in saying that you think the top four, the top four is over optimistic. They've went out and improved their points at this current moment in that standard, because we just had the opportunity to go in there and we blew it and we put in a performance like that. So, but I still feel like, for me personally, top 8, top 9 is still very low, and I still think that we can go higher, and we still have an opportunity to do it. Now we're in 10th, and I think we've stayed there, and we haven't created any gap, and it's still all close there. But obviously today is not a good day and not a good result. Because we don't have more players to score goals, just say the formation is rubbish. Nobody wanted a 3-4-3. I mean, I don't think it's really the formation. I do think it's a lot that has to do with the players. I do think it has a lot to still do with the mentality of Manchester United, the players, the team, the attitude. I think, again, I'm not a tactician, and I'm not the one that really gives a crap about formations and tactics all that much. I don't, because I think at the end of the day, football is a very simple game, and I don't think formations and tactics matter all that much. I don't really hold them that much. I don't get fussed too much over the formation. There are players on the pitch. You're playing a game of football. We had 18, 20, 22 shots today. What does the formation have to do with the players thunder fucking the balls wide and over the net off of 18 shots and having 3 on target? It has absolutely nothing to do with the formation. It doesn't. It has every bit to do with the fact that we have been here before, in that whether we played a 4-2-3-1 and we had some manager that played counterattack, or we got a guy playing a 3-4-3, we've done this for so many years. We're in a position to go fourth. We're favorites to win. We go out there. We play like shit. We don't live up to the standards. We don't live up to the performance. And we fail miserably in doing this. And this is a thing that has been haunting the club for over, I don't know how many years. How many managers has this happened to? How many teams has this happened to? There is something in the club where we cannot get over the hump of getting over this sort of like, I don't know what to describe it, but it just seems like we're always being held and sucked down. Like we can't move past this. We're in this cycle of like, we're constantly blowing these opportunities. We're constantly going into these games, and it doesn't matter. I mean, we've done this under managers that have played 4-2-3-1. So I don't think the formation matters. I think that clearly the mentality of the club has been fucked for quite a long time, and it's still fucked, and we're trying to figure it out. But obviously today it hurt us really bad, and we suffered a really bad loss, and had a really bad performance. 3 at the back, inverted wing backs, and 2 in the midfield. What could go wrong? Again, 3 at the back, but we had 18 shots. So I don't really get the argument, because if you're telling me 3 at the back and wing backs, and we had 5 shots the whole match, I'd understand your point a little bit more because I would be like, well, clearly we were way too defensive because we didn't do enough. We had 18 shots on 3 on target. We had 3 big chances, so they say. So for me, it's not 3 center backs, wing backs. It's that we were very wasteful with the ball and we were very sloppy and we were very disconnected. I don't, the formation, I don't really see how that has an impact. If they're playing, I mean, we just watched the game. If they're playing in the manner that they just played, what difference does a 4-4-2 or a 4-1-2-1-2 if they can't make 5-yard passes and they can't cross the ball and nobody's in the correct positions? What difference does the formation actually make? Because I'm at the most simplest form, if you can't pass the ball, if you can't make a good decision on the ball, does it matter what formation you're playing? No, it doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't. 22 shots on 22 shots. We had 22 shots. We had 3 on target. It's awful. Richard says, look, we are lucky that no one in the Premiership this week had done well. However, I'm traveling to Leeds at the start of next year, and I want to see a performance. Well, I hope they give you one. But, I mean, we're not... I don't know. I don't really feel that way in terms of, like... It's listen, we totally blew the opportunity. We totally fucked it once again. So you know, there's nothing really more to say than we totally completely. We talked about this was a test, and we had an opportunity to go into fourth, and we completely fucked it, all around. I mean, it was total failure. Players, manager, Manchester United as a football club today was total failure, total embarrassment, total embarrassment. To lose to 10 men at home against Everton is disgrace. So, 3 center backs against 10 men. Well, I mean, maybe for the first half, I get it, but in the second half, it wasn't like that. The second half, we had everybody up. We had wing backs all over the place. DeLitt ended up being the only one back there. He was by himself. Linioro was in the box. I think stats generally don't mean a lot because I just watched the team play. 4-4-2 would have been better with the players we have. Yeah, maybe. 18 shots, 8 shots on target we finished. Yeah, and that was at the end. I mean, the stat that I pulled up during the match was, I think it was like 70 minutes in, and we had 18 shots and 3 on target when I looked it up, which is like, it's why we had 0 goals. So, but I mean, just the opportunities were fucking just balls in the box, and we're not putting them on target. The ones we got on target, Pickford saving all of them. We needed more on target because that's the only way we were going to get a goal out of that. But, yeah, I mean, just like not good at all. Where are we? 24 minutes in. I mean, I could go individually for player ratings, but I mean, I don't really see the point because, I mean, nobody's probably going to get a good... nobody's getting a good rating out of it. I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, Lemons, I'd give him a 5. Because he didn't have much to do. I still think he could have saved that shot. He touched it. And for me, if you touch it, and he got a decently good palm to it, but it was very high speed. But I mean, the whole team, the whole team gets a 3. I mean, Mainu, I think I would exclude him from that coming on as a sub, and I think he did pretty good actually when he came on. So I wouldn't group him in there. But you know, Mbeumo struggled today. Diallo struggled today. Bruno, Cass, everybody was really flat. Everybody was really bad. So, you know, I just don't see. I just don't see anybody. I just don't see the point in going individually. Dorgu was, I mean, really, really bad. Really, really bad. But Let me see real quick what the manager and some others are saying. Post-match press conferences. Ruben said Everton were the better team with 11 and with 10 players. Well, yeah. I mean, that is factually true. I mean, when they had 11, I mean, we still weren't good enough. And then when they went to 10, they were still better than us. So, Dalit said, we lacked this hunger to make a difference on the most important moments. Ruben says, from the first 10 minutes, I felt it that we were not there with the same intensity. Forget about the result. The way we played is a really step back. I mean, I think the way we played was like 3 steps back. Because the way we played was like literally like last season, and I haven't really seen that from this team to that level of just shit this season. You know, forget Grimsby, but I'm talking like Premier League and stuff like that. Like I haven't seen us do something like this. This felt like, you know, it was the 1-year anniversary, and it felt like it was like the first game that Ruben was in charge again. Like it was like it felt like they just started over, like they were just trying to figure out the system and trying to figure out their teammates. Like it was just like really, really bad. Ruben says, forget about the results. And I don't think he's telling people to forget about the results. I think he's saying, in terms of, from his opinion, like, forget about the results. He's saying the results are really bad, but I'm more concerned with my feelings during the game. And I think he's saying that because his feelings are fucking worried, angered, and a bunch of other things. He says, we have training tomorrow, and I will deal with it tomorrow. Well, that's probably for the best. We don't need you to deal with it now, live to the press. Go deal with the players that were on the pitch. So, I mean, loads of people are complaining about this. Still trying to figure out why Ruben would have 3 center backs plus 2 defenders at wing back on the pitch while losing at home to 10-man Everton. I mean, I get the point of like you could have subbed one of them out and put somebody else on, but I mean, at what point on the bench, like, who you putting in? Shea Lacey, Manuel Ugarte. Like this is why I don't really understand this argument. And actually, like you know, these big accounts on United that want to give their opinion. You know, they want to set a narrative. If Mason Mount came in the 46th minute and Diego Delo and Kobe Mainoo came on in the 58th minute, that's literally 30 full minutes at the minimum that he made 3 substitutions. On the bench we have Binder Heaven, Malacia, Martinez, Manuel Ugarte, and Shea Lacey. So we're gonna go absolutely crazy because he didn't take off one of the center backs to put on Shea Lacey or Ugarte. Like Ugarte was gonna change the game. I'm telling you, it would not have made a difference today. The way we played would have taking off one of the center backs and then the 2 defenders as wing backs. What we have on the bench, there's not much you can do with that. You can put on Ugarte and have an extra midfielder and push somebody else up. We still had 22 shots and we had 18 shots and 3 on target. Like it was never going to make a difference. We still couldn't make passes. We still couldn't cross the ball. We were still highly dysfunctional. So I don't really get this narrative, but Ruben saying Everton were the better team with 11 players or 10. I felt from the first minute that we were not there with the same intensity, so they deserve the win. If they have 10, let's push the opponent to the final third. We need to be near. We need to be near on the transition. We needed to be focused. We need to do more. Well, clearly, I mean, Mateus Delit said, in all aspects today, it felt like a step back, not just the result, but the intensity and the focus. Again, I will double down and say it's not a step back. It's like 2 to 3 fucking steps back. It's not one. Not with the circumstances, not with the performance you guys put in. This isn't one step back. This is Eric Ugarte not going to change. Getting a goal. But this is what I'm saying. Like, I think people are angry right now and people are trying to look for, reasons or whatever. But I really don't think that it would have made much of a difference. I don't. I don't. I mean, people don't rate Ugarte. They're talking about selling Ugarte. Then they're talking about now because we lost the match and we just got embarrassed and it's a disgraceful performance and result. They're talking about why did we have 3 center backs and 2 wing backs. Again, we're gonna throw everything out the window because he didn't put on Shea Lacey. But we have absolutely no idea what he would have done. And I probably even if you did that and you put Shea Lacey on and you put on Agarte and you took off one of the center backs and you took off one of the defensive wing backs or whatever they want to call them, I don't think we would have a goal. I think it's really plain and simple. I think people need to go take a few hours and go relax and and collect themselves because I think they're totally off of it. I think they're totally off of it right now. I don't understand how you can sit there and watch the players do what they're doing on the pitch, and we're focusing about having 3 center backs and wing backs on the pitch being up a man. We still had so many shots. We still wasted so many opportunities. We were still so dysfunctional. Now, if your argument is, well, he should have made it way earlier. I mean, in the first half, before they scored the goal, you continue with the game plan. They scored the goal. We did push up more. We started doing better, but we didn't do enough, obviously, and we didn't get the goal. So, Mateus Delit, I think the game says enough against 10 men for 70 minutes and not creating that many chances. Today was not a good night for us. We lacked the patience to play through the lines, and we crossed a lot of balls. We needed to do a lot more. Well, I mean, I don't know. What else do you expect him to really say? Michael Owen on Joshua Xerxes. I can't watch him and get excited. He's not the right profile of player. He doesn't excite me at all. Well, you know what, Michael Owen? Nobody fucking asked you for your opinion, really. I mean, again, and this is what I was talking about. Like, I think they're gonna try and pile it onto Xerxes. And it's just like, I understand he didn't have a good game, and he wasn't sharp, and he was always not going to be... There was always more of a chance that he wasn't going to be than he was going to be, and... his teammates didn't help him, and I think that they're more of to blame, and they're actually the ones to come out of this way worse than him. So, he doesn't play a lot. He hasn't played a lot. And, I just find it, that they're gonna pile it onto him. So, Manchester United have lost a Premier League. Manchester United have lost a Premier League game at Old Trafford after seeing the opposition pick up a red card for the first time ever, winning 36 and drawing 10 of the previous 46. Well, that's fucking not good. Can never take that away. That, and David Moyes has his first league win at Old Trafford since March 2014 with his Manchester United team beat at Aston Villa. Listen, I'm more concerned about the fact that this team can, and these players can still do this thing where it's like a light switch and they go from doing good in a 5-game run. We suffered 2 periods in two back-to-back matches where we ended up drawing and not getting the wins, and we collapsed. We go away for 2 weeks, we come back, and we are like nowhere near what we just did in the previous 5 matches in terms of looking more positive and playing better. So I'm more concerned about that aspect because, again, I'll look at the bigger picture here. Regardless of the manager, I mean, if Ruben wants to be sacked and he's gone, guess what? The new guy still needs to use these same players. And these players still have the issue in terms of a squad mentality and a squad dynamic and going out there and performing and not dropping to these levels and not putting in a performance in the way that they put in the performance that they did today. So Richard says, I tell you way I can focus on the formation, Eric. This is because I pay £1,000 a year to watch them on TV and 1,000. Yeah, Lucky. I think our biggest thing is it's again it's really I think. Listen, I get it, Richard, and you know if you don't like the formation and you don't like the tactics, I get it, and if Grace doesn't like it, I get it, and whoever else, if people don't like it, I get it, and that's fine. But I'm just saying that where I prioritize that is and I'm here with Lucky on this mentality and attitude and confidence, I rank it above the formation. So the formation could be a problem, the system could be a problem, but if we don't fix this, it doesn't matter what you do with this. Because like if you don't fix the mentality, if you don't fix attitude, and you don't get the players a cohesion and more confidence, no matter what you do with this formation here and this system, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You could play literally any formation, you can play any system, and you could do whatever you want. They will still go and end up putting in performances like this. So until we like actually figure out how to sort out our mentality, and be able to like go into matches like this and not do the things that we did today and play like shit and bottle the match at home and bottle this opportunity and not look all discombobulated and disjointed, then we're always going to continue suffer. In my opinion, irregardless of the manager and irregardless of the system. Like, again, my biggest thing is it's not that I'm trying to protect Ruben. It's the fact that I really genuinely feel that even if you take Ruben out and you get in a new manager that plays a totally different system with a totally different formation, I still think we're going to see a lot of the same problems we have. Because I've seen a lot of the same problems that we still have now have transferred from one manager to the next manager to the next manager. And in the last iteration of our managers, Ruben and Ten Hag, there's a lot of the same problems that are still there. And they play two totally different systems, two totally different ideas. They're two totally different men with two totally different brains. And there is still some of those same problems that was there for Ten Hag, and they're still here for Ruben Amorim. And that only gives me an indication that even if you take Ruben Amorim and you get him out the door, and you get somebody else, and it could literally be anybody, go get Nagelsmann, go reincarnate Sir Alex Ferguson, we're going to have the same issues until somebody, the club itself, sorts that out. Because we've had that problem for so long. We've had that problem for so long. And we don't seem to be able to find the answer. And preferably me, it doesn't seem to matter what manager we have. They don't seem to be able to find that answer and figure it out. I agree with that, but the formation is not helping the mentality. Well, maybe. I mean, that might be a different type of argument. I don't really have an opinion on that because I never really thought about if that correlates or if it can correlate. So I have to give it some thought on that, and I'll keep it for the next one. But, again, I think, listen, My whole thing is here again. Listen, if you don't like it, I get it, and I'm not trying to like really argue with people on if you like the formation or not. I'm not trying to make you like it. That's not my point. You know, I'm not trying to convince people to. I'm not trying to say you're wrong and you should like the formation. That's not my goal. That's not my thing. I don't really want to try and make people do that. I want it never works, but I think it's pointless. But also, it's just not my goal. The thing is that like I would say is that like I don't necessarily have a problem with it because I put these other things over that, and like I just explained, I think if we don't sort that stuff out, I don't think I think the other stuff is kind of irrelevant until then. But I will say like I know a lot of people, and listen, Grace has had a problem with the formation from the beginning, and for a very long time, and even Axe has had a problem with it. So I'm not like calling them out or anything, but I'm talking about the wider general fan base shit that you're gonna see online reaction. There are a bunch of people that had nothing to say about the formation and the system when we won the 3 matches and we were 5 unbeaten. We suffer a loss, and the talk goes directly back to the system and the formation. So that's where that's where I sort of am just like I can't really buy into that right now. I can't because I have those other things that I view as they're much higher on my list, and I'm just like, you know what? People are angry. I get it. We're gonna be reactionary. I get it, but just I, I'm not angry. I decompressed during the watch along. I mean, like I'm angry, but I'm not angry. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. I accepted it with about 20 minutes left into the match because what I saw from the team, I just knew, and I said it on the watch along. I said it during that time, and I said we can play this match for another 90 minutes, and we ain't gonna fucking score today. And we're not gonna tie it. We're not gonna win. It was just never gonna happen. When I see the players put in a performance like that in any formation, in any system, when I see them put in a performance like that, we could play that game 3 more times consecutively in a row, and we will never score the goal because the levels weren't there, the focus wasn't there. It was like we were totally we just didn't show up. So, when are you going to have Red Devil Experience merch? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's one day. I don't think it's the right time to sort of do that. I mean, there's got to be a demand for it, Richard. I know you might want some, and I appreciate that. I do. I do appreciate that. And if you were to purchase some, I appreciate that. But listen, we need to grow the channel more, and we need a bigger demand, and there'll be a time for that. Hopefully, that comes about. But yeah, maybe I'll get One Piece. Maybe I'll make something One Piece. We'll see. I gotta look into it. But right now, it's kind of on the back burner. We don't have to make a lot. Maybe I'll make one thing, a hat, a shirt, something like that. I'll look into it. I'll keep it in mind. Oh, I missed Ray's comment. I'm sorry. That's why you have to start from Bruno and Casemiro, build a new team. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, we've all had concerns in the midfield. It's been the biggest talking point. And I talked about it last time about how they've decided that they're going to take a gamble on this. And this is another one of these gambles. I mean, they gambled last season on Ruben coming in at the time he did. They gambled on the fact of only bringing a left wing back. They gambled on making the changes that they made in the middle of that season. They gambled on not getting in a midfielder and spending the money on the attack. And they gambled on that they think that we can do a Premier League season with the midfield that we have, and the plan that they set up is to have Bruno play in the midfield with Casemiro. And many people have been saying that that is never going to work. And you know, I've been I've been greedy. I don't know if greedy is the right word, but I've been in a way that I'm kind of just hoping that somehow we get a bit of luck and we sneak away with it. But it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to do that because it's just so inconsistent. It's just not good enough. You know, we can play a match and maybe once in a while we can get away with Bruno being a training cone when it comes to the defensive side of the midfield. But today, that massively hurt us. It didn't help in any sort of way, and we were getting exposed. And Cass looked off of it. Cass looked tired, going and playing for Brazil, and playing those international matches. Man, he looked a bit slow, and then you know Bruno not being able to help you on the defensive side of the game. The midfield was non-existent. And it definitely played a part in you know the first like 15 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it was, when Everton, like Ruben said, Everton was a better team than us with 11, and they were a better team than us with 10, and they were a better team with us with 11. They scored the goal with fucking 10, and we had no answer for it. We had absolutely no answer for it. So, social media fans like us, same to them. We Champions League side. We should compete for titles. Blah blah blah. Well, listen again. Yeah, I think there are people. I don't want to dismiss all social media fans. We're on the internet. We're here all the time. People give their genuine opinion, and people actually care. Yeah. So I don't want to like go too bad off of that. I'm just saying like you have to like you have to sift through it, and you have to like keep that in the back of your head for people, because I do think that people see a lot of things on social media. There's a lot of people that just say shit and do shit for clicks and interaction. And you know, when I go on my timeline and I'm seeing all these big accounts that have large Manchester United followings, and they're all aggregator accounts, and they're all tweeting the same shit and driving home a narrative, you know, I just I can clearly see it. You know what I mean? I can clearly see it. So, Casemiro will be gone in the summer. Well, the update that we got the other day was that United wanted to continue with Casemiro. So, and they were looking to give him a contract on a reduced wage. So, I don't know. We need to see about that. Lucky. Richard says, do a sweatshirt. It can be a print on demand, and they will ship it for you. Just do your design. I will certainly buy one. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's just that I need to design one. Yeah, so I need to like allocate some time to it. But yeah, I have like a general general understanding of like how to do it, print on, sort of like a pre-order. I don't need to buy the material, and I guess yeah, like you're saying, they can print it for me. So I need to sit down and take the time. Right now I'm really focused on like, I'm going to start doing more short videos. So I need to get the hang of that and get more familiar with that sort of stuff, and that way I could do them faster, more often. Because that video that I did, that I released the other day on the channel, 5 minutes long, it's actually doing pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to be focusing on that more, so we can get more people into the channel, and get more viewers, and get more of a community, and build the community up, and really have a strong foundation and a strong base. But I will get to it at one point, I promise. And it's not going to be too long, Richard. Undero, Mr. Undero says, hi all, and this is why we won't finish in the top 4, nowhere near it. Playing a back 3 and wing backs against 10 men at home makes no sense. Plus, Bruno, the worst player on the pitch by a distance. I guess I'm in the minority on this one, which is fine, because again, in my opinion, I just. But it's just funny that Undero has just jumped in here, because I don't think Undero's been listening, and I think Undero just jumped in here, and Undero's literally saying what, Gray said it, and Richard hasn't really said it, but he's talked about the formation, and literally what I'm seeing all over social media, like literally every single big Manchester United account is talking about the 3 centre backs and the wing backs and stuff like that. And so I mean, I guess I'm in the minority on this one, but it is what it is. I don't have to be in the majority. I don't really care if I'm in the minority or the majority. Um, it's just it's what I believe. It's my values. I again, Richard. Okay, folks, going to bed. Everyone, stay safe. Yeah, that's right. It is a late one. I was gonna do a call-in segment, but there's no point in doing it. It's a late one for you guys. Everybody's getting off. You guys got work tomorrow. It's literally about to be 11 p.m. So we'll just save the call-in for the midweek. I'll have people call in, or if they want to call in, they can call in. We'll save it for another show, and we'll split the show like that. It'll be better. And then when we have a normal time, not Monday 8 p.m. kickoff UK, and we go back to the weekend schedule. We'll get the call in for that as well. So, titles and dreams. All I want, Lucky says, all I want us to do progress. What can the next matches? Well, I mean, I get it. I get you. I mean, I can dream I would go to the moon. Not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Lucky. I get it. I mean, listen, I agree with you. I'm on your side on this one, and we agree on this for sure. Like, I think we're in the same space on this, but I will always try and say, like, even if we're not necessarily on the same page as the others, I mean, you do have to kind of at least try to understand where our fellow fans are coming from and what they're looking for. And I think some people are absolutely ridiculous with some of their takes. I will agree with that, but I do. There are people that do have title hopes and aspirations and stuff like that, and ultimately that's where we want to get to. And they do make some valid arguments and some valid points as well. We do have to remember we are Manchester United at the end of the day. We do have to keep a sort of level of standards and like mentality wise, like we can't just really be like, well, we're not what we're used to anymore, and then just kind of accept it and never like kind of demand for better. But I think obviously we need to strike a nice balance to it. I can't go too over the top, but we can't go too under either, right? So Ruben also said fighting is not a bad thing. I don't agree with that sending off. We can fight with the teammate. I know it's violent conduct, but I don't agree with that. I hope if my players lose the ball, they fight each other. That's kind of what I was getting at on the live stream. Like, that's why I didn't really like that. And I said if I was in charge, it's one thing if you smack another player or you hit another player, because then obviously that's like, it's violent conduct, but it's also just like, it's sort of a different type of, it's just a different type of intent, a different type of vibe. Like, these are teammates. They play with each other. You slapped him in the face, and the bro was walking away, and it was about to end. Like, nothing happened after that. So, like, that's why I would have been like, I probably would have gave him a yellow, because it's teammate on teammate. If it was, team versus team, automatic, absolute, no red card. There's no talking about it. I don't care if you just tap the guy like that. Like you're not touching somebody in the face. You're not, it's. When it's a teammate, it's more of a cohesive, like they're family. They're kind of like a unit. Shit happens. I probably would have given him a yellow for slight violent conduct, but I mean those are the rules. So, I mean the ref just did what he had to do by going by the letter of the law. But Ruben says, I'm afraid of feeling the same way I did last season. That's my biggest fear. We have to work together, and we will work together. The players are trying, but we have to improve. I mean, yeah, I feel you. But my big thing I would say there is, Ruben, and I believe him when he says these things. I don't think he says these things just to say them. I don't think he says these things because he's like, oh, this will buy me. When he's asked a question, especially how we know how emotional he is and how honest he's been since coming here. I don't think Ruben's sitting there and is like, what's the response that I can give to buy sympathy points with the fans? I think he's giving a genuine response there, and I think he genuinely does fear that, and I think he obviously clearly doesn't want to go back to what we just witnessed last season, and I think he desperately wants to improve the team. And I think he desperately wants to become like sort of a serial winner the way he was when he was at Sporting, and have Manchester United be that strong and being able to to perform. My thing, and if I was there and I asked him that question, and I asked him the question that he gave that response to, my follow up would be, I believe you when you say that. But I will ask you, do you believe that your players feel the same as you do? Do you think that the players have the same feeling, that they have this, that they are just as afraid of feeling the same way in that manner as last season? Do you think it's their biggest fear? Because you talk about we have to work together, but clearly, if they don't have that same level of fear as you do, we're not on the same page. You're not on the same page. You have a bigger fear, but they don't fear it as much. And we've had issues at this football club where players have, down tools before. And I'm not saying they're downing tools, but I'm saying we've had issues where the mentality has been low. They don't get up for matches. It had some vibes like that today. I don't think they downed tools because they had effort. It just was not a good effort. It wasn't executed well. And yeah, I think Undera says no, it was a red. No, I understand it was a red, totally. Like I understand it was a red. I'm just like throwing out a hypothetical in that, like, if I had it my way, if I can make the laws, or if I made the rules, or if I was the ref and I can make a judgment call, and I guess to the letter of the law, it would be wrong. But for me personally, I think if it's between two teammates, I think it's different. And I don't really, I sort of agree with Ruben in the way that he said it. That's sort of my thinking about it, is that, like, it's between two teammates. I would want, like, for me, like today, I would want one of our players to fight one of our players because I think they needed it. And actually, I don't know how big of an impact this had, but I mean, you saw Idris Gueye. You saw how livid he was at Keane, to the point that he hit his own teammate. Yeah, and I understand violent conduct, but to me, it seemed a bit Roy Keane-esque. Like, in the terms of, like, he would go fucking just destroy somebody on the other team, get a red card, get sent off because his teammates were shit and they had to pick up the level. He would absolutely destroy people on the pitch or in the locker room, fight them in the dressing room because they needed to step up the levels. And he did that. They went down to 10 men, but they scored the goal and they ultimately won the match. And I felt like, you know what? We needed somebody on our team to, like, go fucking grab somebody by the kit, get in their face, because we just didn't see like we had the urgency. But there's no, it was a red. There are these are meant to be elite professional footballers who have to set an example. Future generations of players need to realize that you can't act in that way. Total disrespect. And I get that point of the argument, and I get it. I'm not trying to argue against that, but for me, I'm a bit more, I guess, old school in that sense, and I do align with Ruben a little bit in the terms of that. Like, I do feel like, I would want one of my players. I don't want him to, like, harm him. Like, I don't want him to, like, get injured from it. I don't want, like, my player punching my other player in the face. But I mean, like he slapped him and they were done with it and they were walking away. And I guess, like, I know it's a professional level and, there's youth watching and you can't have that shit going on in the game. So I do get it. But I'm just saying, maybe you don't have to go to the extent of slapping your own teammate in the face. But still, I would like for the players to fight with each other. I still would like some sort of old school Roy Keane type of shit. Grab bro by the jersey, get in his face, tell him you're gonna fuck him up or something. Excuse me for the violent language, but it's not that he's actually going to do it. And I'm not encouraging violence in that manner. I'm just talking about it's the principle of, like, trying to galvanize the team, trying to get them to step their game up. At the end of the day. Box says terrible result, terrible performance. Yo, Eric. Box says not a single good enough performance from the players or the manager. I'll ask you this since you just jumped in here. What do you think about the whole having the three center backs on and the wing backs? Because everybody on the internet is saying this. Grace said it when she was here, but I think she got mad at me, so she left. Ondero came in and he literally wasn't. He literally didn't know anything about what I was talking about. He jumped in here. It was like the first thing he said. I have like a different opinion to it. So I'm in the minority on this one. But I'm curious, like, what do you think about it? How do you feel? Are you in that camp with the rest of them? That like, what were we doing with three center backs and wing backs being up a man at home? Because I've kind of valued it at like, I get that point, but at the same time, if I'm watching the players play the way that they're playing, I just think like, and you look at the bench and you look at the options. Like, I think Kobe did have an impact in Mason Mount, and you could get them on earlier, and you could change it around much earlier. I get that. But after the red card, I mean, I would have kept going the way we were going. They scored a goal, and then I guess the biggest argument would be after the goal. But nobody's really putting that in their argument anyway. Everybody's just kind of generalizing it. And, I'm like, well, at what minute did you want him to do that? Because he made a sub. He made one sub at halftime. He made two more at 60th minute. They still had a full 30 minutes with that changed. We pushed everybody up. And then on the bench was just literally Ugarte and Shea Lacey after the three substitutions that we made. So I don't see, and I just, if the players are passing the ball in that way, if they're messing up all the chances, we had 18 shots at 1.3 on target. And if you have that sort of record, it's just like, is it really going to make that much of a difference? I mean, if they can't pass the ball, if they can't find their teammates, if they can't make good decisions, and like you said, Box, not a single good enough performance from the players or the manager, but just like, if not a single one of them has a good enough performance, what I just don't really feel like if we took a center back off and a wing back on and put it on, I don't think we would be here with anything different. I think the levels were extremely low. I don't think we were focused, and we just didn't perform. And the subs had, I think, a decent impact, but it wasn't enough. The overall majority of the team was still very low, and it just still wasn't very good. So, and then Dara says, I'm a former professional footballer, and I can tell you it does happen in the changing rooms, but not on the pitch. Imagine kids watching these games. And I believe you 100%. And I know for a fact that in the changing room, shit goes down for sure. So yeah, I totally buy that. And I totally believe it 100%. And I get what you mean. There's the kids aspect, and listen, this is a professional league, a lot of money in it. Families watch this sort of thing. And kids are very impressionable as well. So I get that aspect. I get that argument. And, I agree with it as well. Like, I'm not really saying like, I want to see players slapping people around. So I guess that's why the law is like that, to stop it from being encouraged. Cause I guess if it was a yellow, maybe it would be happening more often. I'm just saying on a personal level, I don't really have a problem with it. And I wouldn't necessarily give a red. But I can understand, it's bigger than me. So I understand that aspect, for sure. I felt, Box says, well, Lucky says the only decent player tonight, Mason Mount, Kobe Mainu, support, and Buemo. Box says, I felt like we were the second best team even before the red card, to be honest. Yeah, well, Ruben said that, and we were. But we were. Like, you're not wrong. I think anybody that says that, you're not wrong. Like, Ruben literally said they were a better team than us with 11, and they were a better team than us with 10. And they were. They were. I mean, when it was 11v11, we were very slow. I talked about this on the live stream, on the watch along. Very slow, poor to not doing enough with the ball, moving it too much sideways, not enough attacking intent, not going forward enough. And then they decided they wanted to wake up after They didn't even wake up after. They didn't even press on after we went up a man. They decided to go up more after we conceded the goal. So 100%. We were second best the entire 90 minutes, regardless of the situation on the pitch. The rest of the team was disjointed, says Lucky. Having said that, Pickford, God save. Yeah. I mean, Pickford did have some very good saves as well, and the people tend to want to fucking do that shit against us, and I kind of hate it. Bach says, tonight showed the drop-off in quality with not having Sesko and Cunha. Well, I did say that as well, like, earlier in this, and I don't think I'm going to I don't think I'm going to, like, just drop it down to totally, like, well, we only lost because no Cunha and no Sesko. If we had Cunha and Sesko, we would have won. But I do agree with sort of the sentiment and the discussion around that is that, like, and I said it during the watch along as well. It was like towards the end, I was just like, well, if you look at what's happening on the pitch right now and the way we played, this is the same team as last year with all those bad results and all those struggles and all those bad performances. And the only two different people on the pitch was Mbeumo and was Lemons. And when you break it down even further, Lemons is a goalkeeper, so he doesn't really have anything to do with what's going on in the outfield. So when you really break it down, we had one player that was different than last season in the outfield. The rest were all the same. And it felt like I was watching last season again today. And so it can't be a total excuse to excuse everything, but clearly the team and this sort of rebuild isn't far enough, and it's not developed far enough. We have way more work to do when it comes to the squad, because we lose Sesko and we lose Cunha, and all of a sudden we can't score goals, and we're at home, and we don't seem as fiery. We don't seem to have the same levels that we were just showing in the last 5 matches, 3 if you want to count just the wins. And we lose Cunha and we lose Sesko, and it's like literally I felt like I was watching last season all over again today. And I haven't seen that performance from this team this season. Not even in Grimsby. Like, Grimsby was totally different, and it was different circumstances. It was a disgraced result, but I'm saying not even in that match. This really did feel like last season. So, like, boxes, if you're playing wingbacks in this formation, Maz and Dorgu are not the adequate level. 0 end product and creativity. Well, that I get that point. And I do think that, like, if Cunha was in, I don't think we would have seen Diallo at 10. And then I do think there was obviously, listen, Dorgu had a really bad game. I actually kind of felt, I don't want to say if I felt bad for Maz, but just in terms of, like, in my opinion, Dorgu should have came off at halftime, and Maz shouldn't have came off, ahead of him, because I think Dorgu was way worse. And while Maz wasn't anything spectacular, and he's been struggling, and he's been a bit slow this season to, like, he's not as sharp. He's not in the form he was when we got him last season. I'm a bit concerned about him, but I remain hopeful that he will figure it out and find it sooner rather than later. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about in terms of output. And I think, when Ahmad ended up going to right wing back, I think the dynamic changed and shifted again, and then obviously we were going more forward. And I don't think we would have seen Diallo in the 10. If Cunha was available. And maybe, in hindsight now he's gotten it wrong, because, maybe he should have had Diallo playing in the wing-back spot, and maybe he should have had Mason Mount starting as the 10 instead of doing that. And maybe, if you're not going to start Delo on the left and you got Dorgu, maybe play Maz there. But I mean, that terms of wing back on the left-hand side were a bit... You know what? I tell you what. When Luke Shaw was more forward, Luke Shaw is still one of the best guys that we have for crossing the ball into the box. So maybe with Lisandro Martinez back, and it's still going to take a few matches and weeks, and maybe up to a month, something like that, or longer. But if Martinez can stay fit and get some form, and get back to full fitness and sharpness, and we can actually start him going forward. I'm gonna advocate get fucking Luke Shaw in there, man, because he was the only one that can actually kick the fucking ball on the left hand side. Like Delo is a right footed player on the left side is fucked for him to do that, and Dorgu is just so bad at it right now. And he needs time off of the pitch because he's gonna continue to get crucified. Like we need to take Dorgu out of the spotlight, and we need to put somebody else there, and Dorgu needs to like go into the shadows and work on his fucking game and take his time, and go from being a starter to being a substitute and taking his opportunities. He needs to go into the background, and we kind of need to forget about him. So, Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo, worst performances, says Lucky. Yeah, Xerxes very poor. Yeah. Box says, I'm not Amarim or players out, but I have no belief in what they're doing at all, or that they will get us to anywhere remotely close to where we want to be. Yeah, I mean, I get that feeling, especially when you watch what we've seen today, and all these feelings of like we've been here before and we've seen United do this and they've done this shit to us before. So I get it. I still remain sort of maybe naively sort of optimistic that hopefully we can figure it out. I think somebody mentioned it in the beginning of I think it was Richard, that like, the one small thing, and it's, I'm not trying to like make excuses or anything like that. I'm not trying to cover anything up or sugarcoat anything. I think the only thing that I could kind of think of right now that can kind of sort of help us in that scenario is that the rest of the teams in and around us are, they are, inconsistent as well. We're a bit fortunate that all the teams that played the other day, barring Villa, did what they did, because otherwise, I mean, let's put it this way. If they all did the job that they were supposed to do and got the wins, and we still had the performance and result that we did have today, it'd be way worse. So we're a bit lucky in that sense, but we're not giving the strongest indication that we're going to be the ones to figure this out and get the level of consistency right now. So Amarim should be able to get a bit of a better tune out of some of these players, though, to be fair. I do feel that way, because again, when I look at these players on paper and when I look at the squad and then I see some of their performances, like that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like the team could get anywhere from 4 to 8, depends what we do. And I do like sort of feel that way. And I think it needs to happen at some point. And, I will admit that, like, it's not happening right now. And some people will say, well, you should be able to do it by now. He's been here for a year. But I still can't say with 100% certainty that, like, I can't be that convicted on that, because I've seen the mess that this club has been in, and I still hold and believe that when you're at a football club like United and you've had like 12 years of just like mediocre or disaster or just shit, sometimes it's been different levels. Sometimes it's been okay. Sometimes it's been average. Everyone, one season or 2 seasons, somehow we managed to finish second. We were far off. We managed to win a cup. So, it's not all like bottom of the barrel type shit, but it's been very inconsistent and it's been all over the place. And, it hasn't been anything of like greatness. I still feel like to do these things, it's going to take like a long time. And also, I still think that the squad needs to still continue to be overhauled. And, I mentioned last time, I'm like, listen, we got in what we got in for Ruben, and we have, how many players did we get in for Ruben so far? 5 in total, under him specifically, and Ineos has about, what do they got? About almost a starting XI. that they've got in. But the squad is 22. When if you're in Europe, it's going to be bigger. But at least in 22, like we still need to improve. There's clearly like some players that they just not we're probably not able to get a 2-1 out of them. Maybe a better manager, you would say, could get a 2-1 out of them. Maybe I can't really argue that because it's a bit of the unknown. It's what ifs and buts. I don't know. I don't really like to operate there. But I wouldn't necessarily fight against it either. You know what I mean? A lot of us, Bach says, if I felt we collapsed with 2 goals in 2 minutes versus forward. Well, no, we definitely did. And the game was end to end in the end, and we could have lost. We were too timid, passive versus Spurs, and we were lucky to get a point in the end. And today was rock bottom. 3 poor average performances in a row. Well, I think when you compare this performance to the last 2, this is the worst one, and I think it's the worst one by a long shot, by a mile. I actually think when you compare this to the last 2 performances, which again we were disappointed by them, and we felt like we had opportunities that we could have went on to go and win, and we didn't take it. I think this is like totally. It's not even in the same category. Like this was absolutely just bottom of the barrel stuff, like worst scenario, worst everything. And I think it's nowhere near that. Like I'm disappointed with the last 2, not this one, but the last 2. But I don't even think they come close to each other. This one just again, it always felt like, and it always looked like, and it's from the beginning, like we were slow to start. We never picked it up. We never found an answer. And like Ruben said, they were better with us they were better than us with 11, and they were better than us with 10, and that's literally all to sum up the match. All 90 minutes they were better than us, and it didn't matter, and we were home. In the other matches we had 5-minute, 10-minute period where we collapsed, but we still created more. We still had better opportunities. We weren't clinical, but we had more shots on target. We had better opportunities. We just didn't make it happen, and then we collapsed. Today, again, I wish I remember what minute of the game it was. 70th minute, around there. 18 shots and 3 on target, and I'm watching us kicking balls off target, left, right, over the top. The ones we managed to get on target, Pickford's making worldly saves out of them, and that's why I'm like, we needed more shots on target, because I think the probability was he wasn't going to continue making all those worldly saves the more shots on target you put. But 3 shots on target out of 18 shots, and he made 4, and then it ended up being more at the end of the match. It was like 22-8, but that's because they succeeded all the whole game plan, and we pushed, and it was very different up until that point. So Undero says we can't make progress having Bruno on our midfield. Casemiro may well have played Brazil recently, but he can't play an hour before he has to come off in games. Delo playing ahead of Shaw today. Well, Delo was on the bench. He came on after. I think that's the conundrum for the left as well, guys. It's just like people are upset with Dorgu, and they're mad at Dorgu, and they don't like Dorgu or his performances. I don't want to say him personally because that sounds personal, but they're also not happy with Delo. And it's like, well, the way I look at it right now in our situation is that left-hand side, it's like, pick your poison. I don't have. I honestly don't think there's an answer for it right now. Now, I said potentially there could be an answer, but that one's going to take time because we need, Maguire's not available. You know what? At this point, actually, I would tell you there is actually an answer, and I didn't think about it, and it just popped into my head right now. I would, if I'm Ruben, with the detriment of that left-hand side, right now, next match, immediately, what I'm doing is I'm taking Aiden fucking heaven, and I'm putting him in until Licha can get his shit together and get up to speed. And I hope he does that. And I'm taking Aiden Heaven in there. If Maguire's not available, I'm taking Aiden Heaven in there. And I'm taking Luke Shaw and I'm putting him at left wing back. Because when Luke Shaw went up there, Luke Shaw was the best crosser. He is the best. He might be the best crosser that we have in the team. And he was putting in really good balls. And it's like, we don't see him do that because he's been playing center back. And I think for me personally, I always talk about, I don't believe that Ruben has to change the formation in the system because I've talked about reasons why. I think mentality, attitude, and all that stuff, if we don't sort that shit out, it doesn't matter what formation you play. But those are tweaks that he can do. I'm not asking him to play a 4-2-3-1. I'm not asking him to play a 4-4-2. But what I'm saying is, you're looking at that left-hand side. That left-hand side is absolutely just abysmal. You put Dorgu there, is shit. You put Delo there, he's no better, and he's worse. And he's a right-footed player, so it doesn't even help him, and it makes things worse. And I'm just like, from what I saw from Luke Shaw today, if he can do it physically without getting injured, if it doesn't put stress on his body, if there's not a medical reason not to do it, then you take Luke Shaw, you put him in that left wing-back spot, and you have to put Aiden Heaven there. Or, Maguire if he comes back. But if Maguire's not back, you got to put Aiden Heaven there. I think if there's an angle for criticism there for Ruben, I would greatly, I will accept that wholeheartedly. I think that's a valid thing to argue with and be like, well, you know what? He's trying to use these two guys. They clearly can't do a job. They're clearly just absolutely horrible, and we're suffering because of them. And he's sticking with them, and he can make this change. And he needs to, some people will say he needs to have the balls to do it. Some people will say he needs to get the intelligence to do it. Whatever your reasoning for it is, I don't really care. But I just think, you got to make the call. And I think, and we're still going to have problems. And then, it goes to the midfield aspect. But I'm talking about this left-hand side because it is very bad on that side. You know what I mean? I can't see open selling Ugarte when he goes. I can't see none of our current CMs in our squad being suited / good enough long term to be playing in a 2-man midfield, and that's why. But I listen again. I think you're on the money, and I think that's why we're seeing the reports and the clear indication that we want to go and buy 2 top-level tier midfielders. We clearly don't have it, and they clearly can't do it. And if that's the case, then we need to go and get it. Which is what the plan is. It's just unfortunate that, and people could say, you know what, we were wrong, and they were wrong to spend all that money on the 10s. But I think either way, we needed to do it. Now maybe you could have balanced it out and not bought an extra 10 and then went back in and got a 10 later on. And in fair play, I think that's also a valid argument that you can make, and I think that's a logical argument to make. But yeah, but I still, even for this situation, I think get Bruno up there and put Maino in. From what I saw today, I don't think Kobe Mainu, I know he's not that physical, right? And maybe he's not as good at the press in terms of pressing like Bruno can do. But I don't think Kobe Mainu would be a legitimate training cone compared to what I saw from Bruno defensively today. And so I'm starting to I think Ruben's losing the argument on this one that Bruno can play there and that it's going to work there, and that Mainu, he can't be starting there because he doesn't have the physicality and he doesn't have. Because when Bruno performs like that defensively, I don't think you would see that from Kobe. I think if you put Kobe there, I think it would be more calm. I think if there would be an effect like Lemons had, I think there would be more calm. There would be more composure. I think there would be better decision making in there. And actually, I think Kobe, regardless of lack of pressing speed and lack of physicality, I don't think he would be a training cone like Bruno. Bruno was so non-existent defensively. He literally was just a training cone. He was a training stick. Like they just like he did offered no help in that way. So it was just like feels like Groundhog Day. As manager, positives with Mason Mount, Kobe Mainu, and Joshua Xerxes. Well, listen, Xerxes, I think you just gotta be like, it is what it is, and you have to have an understanding. He didn't have, from a manager point of view, he didn't have a lot of minutes. I think it wasn't all bad, but it just wasn't good. Yeah, but it wasn't all bad. Like there was some moments he had some good things that worked, but other times, it was just an inconsistent performance, and I think that's just match time. So I think you have to, like, as a manager, you got to understand that. I think he understands that. And then for me, Kobe Mainu, Mason Mount. Um, we're rebuilding whole side. Casemiro suspended for the next game. Is he suspended? He got the yellow. Does that mean he's suspended? I don't know. I'm not aware. So let me know. If we stick with this formation, I'd play Ahmad right wing back, Shaw left wing back. But when Afcon starts, who knows starts right wing back. Well, when Afcon starts, we're gonna have to just deal. But I'm coming to that sort of conclusion as well, Box. I think if Ruben, and I've talked about this many times, if Ruben's gonna help himself, and some things are out of his hands, like for example, we can't buy a player right now. United have had their financial restrictions, and Ineos, Ruben doesn't have the be all, end all, and say all. There are other people that they deal with the transfers and stuff like that. So this is a team thing. So, but what Ruben can do is he can do, what you're saying, and that's how I'm leaning. Left wing back, Luke Shaw. Right wing back, Amad Diallo. When you get to AFCON, I mean, there's not much that we can do. We're gonna have to use Delo because right wing back, that's it. I mean, Diallo and Maz are out and gone, so you don't even have options. And you're not. There's nobody else that's gonna play there, so we're gonna have to use Delo, and we're gonna need to hope and pray that if we're using Luke Shaw as a left wing back, that he stays fit and doesn't get injured. And then we literally have the one substitute in Dorgu, and maybe we're gonna have to call up a kid from the academy, just as an emergency backup cover or anything like that. Uh, we might have to use them, and stick them into that situation. So Niche fan says we have to sell everyone apart from Mbuemo Cunha. Ahmad Delit Euro Lemons, whilst you're at it, get on the phone to Ralph Ranick and beg him to come back. Well, listen, I don't even think our identification, I mean, look how you just listed, Niche fan, and I don't even necessarily agree with you, and that's kind of what the angle that I'm looking at. I mean, maybe there would be another player or two in there that I'm not thinking of right now, but in the basis of it, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, if you look at the players that Ineos has brung in, and then you look at the players that have come in specifically under Ruben Amorim, um, Ineos has gotten in about an 11. There's another 11 in there. And I think there's a valid argument for the other 11 in there that need to be pretty much essentially at some point swapped out for newer, different players. And I kind of feel like it plays into why we're still seeing sort of a Jekyll and Hyde thing from Manchester United, because it seems like we have half a squad of like new players, and not every single one of them are going to work out, but the majority of them I think have been good buys, and the other half of the squad is the old team from previous managers and previous transfer strategies and previous transfer windows, and they clearly are not up to it. And I don't think that they actually can get up to the levels that Box was sort of saying, like get more out of them. I don't know if you can. I've seen them. Some of them have sacked two managers. Some of them have sacked one manager, and some of them are, uh, helping put this manager in a very bad situation and not getting the performances over the line. So, and there's a no. Delo came on as a sub and was playing ahead of Shaw. Makes no sense at all there. Shaw should have played further forward. Delo is a poor player, really poor. Well, I mean, I know what you're saying because he came on as a sub, but then Delo went into the wing back spot and he didn't make that push slash change until later. I mean, at one point Shaw did end up going. I mean, they were basically kind of playing like left wing back at the same time, and one was going ahead of the other, and the other was going ahead of the other. But like in that situation, when he made the change at halftime, I don't think he wanted to go too full throttle because there was all that time left, and you don't want to concede a second to go down two when you can maybe still get the one and go from there. So when you put on Delo, I mean, you're not gonna put Delo as the center back. You have to have Shaw as the center back. So he was given license to go up a bit more forward, but obviously Delo is going to be the more further one in that situation. And then that comes down to, again, I would go with the argument of, well, all right, fuck that. Don't even put Delo in there. Take Shaw, put him left wing back, and get Aiden Heaven in there because he's on the bench. And I think that would be a more valid argument to be like, why even bother putting Delo on the left-hand side as a right-footed player? And we've seen him play there, and he doesn't do good there. And he's been struggling. And just, why not just put Aiden Heaven in and get Shaw up there and let Shaw play there? Because clearly Shaw is the better player there. Most of the shots on target were central and straight down Pickford's throat. Yeah, out of the 8 shots on target, yes. But when we had, I think it was 3 or 4, I think there was one that was very central. The other 2, or 3, something like that, they were, close, or they were in the corner. But he did make those. They were very good saves. The ones that we actually managed to actually put in the corner, I mean, he did a very good job to save them. But yeah, I think in the total of 8 shots, I think probably more of them were more skewed towards the center anyway. So like, they weren't the best shots on target as well. So yeah. We do miss Maguire when he's not there. De Ligt and Euro look more assured with his presence / leadership from what I've seen. I don't think Mane was good enough either in a 2-man center mid. Well, maybe in the long term, maybe right now, but my argument for this box is it's not even really about if he's good enough. I'm just looking at what we're getting right now, and I'm looking at the circumstances, and I'm saying I don't think there's a valid argument to say that Mano can do any worse than what I've seen defensively from Bruno in the defensive aspect. And clearly Bruno is way better when he's forward and in and around the box. And so for me, it's just like Manu at his current state, at his current level, he might not be the answer for a 2-man midfield. He might not be able to ever do it, although I would say, then he won't become a very good player. But because of a lot of teams play 2-man midfield, so it's like, what team are you going to go play for? But I'm saying just what I've seen from Bruno defensively, the argument that Bruno gets to play in that position and the circumstances that we're in, that like Cunha wasn't available and he'll probably be back by next game, but like Xerxes looking sluggish the way he is because he hasn't played the minutes, Sesko's being out, and Bruno being a training cone defensively. I'm just like, listen, I get that he might not be good pressing wise and he might lack the physicality, but I don't think that I would see Kobe Manu being a training cone. It might not work out as well. Like, it might not work out. It might still be just like, it might still be bad. I'm not saying that it's going to be leaps and bounds better, but I'm not going to see, I don't think I would see Kobe Manu doing half-ass sort of tackles. And that's what Bruno does, unfortunately. That's what he did today. Like, it was literally all half-ass tackles. He doesn't get stuck in on the ball. And so I think in that sort of aspect, the argument for having Bruno there, I say at this point, with what we got, just fuck it and just get Bruno up there. One way or another. Especially with Sesko being out, when Cunha comes back, I'd rather have a front 3 of having Mbeumo out on the wing, Bruno up there in the 10 where Cunha's playing, and having Cunha at striker or some shit, and maybe having, Cunha and Mbeumo interchanging or something like that, and getting Maino into the midfield. And then, Mason Mount is there. And, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then shift Bruno back or some shit because he's not going to sub him out, right? So if it doesn't work, but I think at this point, why not? Why not? Maino more of a number 10. I mean, well, yeah. Well, okay. Well, maybe, but Mount right wing back. Now you're giving me like Juan Mata vibes or something. Like we're gonna stick him out on the wing or some shit. I mean, listen, it was good that Xerxes got a run out. Like Lucky said, he's happy Xerxes got a run out. Like, yeah, I don't think we can complain about that. And especially with the absence of Cunha, like I think you had to go for it. And it wasn't all bad. It just was, he just looked very rusty. He looked very off of it. But I can understand people saying, well, you play for United, you need to be ready to go. But at the same time, I can also see how, just the fact that, like, bro hasn't played a lot of minutes. So, like, how is he going to be sharp? I think it's a valid point to say, Buck says, yeah, it's worth to go. I mean, at this point, why not? I'm looking to try and find answers for what we have. And I think Ruben should be trying to do the most. And again, like, that's where I sort of, like, don't agree with him. Like, I'll compromise with him on that. Like, I don't think he should change the system formation. It's his system formation, and that's what he plays. But where I sort of draw the line is, like, if you're so stubborn enough that you're not willing to at least try and tweak shit with players and maybe try somebody and somebody else or switch people around, that's where then I'm like, well, I can't defend you on that. I can't. Like, it's one thing with the system and formation. It's another thing of, like, refusing to swap personnel that clearly we're having issues with. Like, we're clearly having an issue with Bruno playing as a centre mid. Bruno is clearly better at playing up forward more. The left wing back position is clearly an issue, and it's clearly a problem, and it doesn't even matter right now. If you put Dorgu there, it's shit. If you put Delo there right now, it's shit. And I'm not saying, like, totally give up on them, but for the time being in the situation, you gotta do something to change it up. And I think that's open to fair criticism for Ruben if he doesn't actually do those things. So Armoring being too safety first at the moment, it's starting to backfire. Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's like safety first. I think because he is, like, very stubborn in that way, and I think because he actually, like, believes that is the best way, even though it's not working. And he seems to be the guy that sort of is like, he doesn't, like, in his mind, it's like, I'm not going to panic. Like, things aren't working, and these things need to be fixed, and we're going to work to fix them. But he's fixing them sort of in a different way. He's trying to get them to improve. He's trying to get them to perform better. He's sticking with it. So I don't know if it's like safety first and more in just that like he believes that setup is the best setup. It's just not performing the best right now. And he's determined to, like, drive through it. You know what I mean? He wants to go, like, straight through it instead of trying to go around it. And sometimes you need to go around shit. Sometimes it's good to go straight head first through things, but sometimes you need to go around things. And I think, ultimately, he's going to have to figure that out. At some point, he's going to have to, make the call of, like, listen, I've been trying to go straight through shit with this sort of stuff. And, like, I actually need to make a pivot here and actually go around this because it's just causing more damage. Like, like, if there's a road with a bunch of potholes in it, you can try and navigate through that shit. You can drive right over the potholes. You can try and go around the potholes. So it is what it is. Listen, I think we've been long, like, we've been live very long, yeah, and I appreciate all of you that have been sticking around and keeping the conversation going even after today's terrible result and performance. How long have we been live for? I didn't even know. That doesn't even tell me. An hour and 40. Yeah, so we've let it run long enough. Please make sure you smash the like button if you didn't. Get that done, people. Very good conversation. Box, I'm glad that you joined in at the end and you made some very good points. And, come around more often, man. I miss your input. I think we all do because you're very sensible. And Lucky's always here and saying things, and everybody else as well. But just, um, Box, you usually make very, very excellent points and very sensible stuff, and it actually contributes to the discussion in the show and stuff like that. So, the more around you are and everybody else that does the same, the better for the channel and for the discussion, and for us. So, Palace away next. Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate because we needed the points here and we needed the positivity from this. And Palace is going to be a very tough game, and it's no easy. Box is a good therapy session. It is though. It is. Like, I'm calm. I've been calm. I accepted that we were going to lose. I got pretty pissed at one point during the watch along, but I just knew from what I was seeing from the team. I knew. When we got to around the 70-minute mark, a piece of me still had a bit of hope that maybe something happens and a bit of luck. And but I knew right away. I accepted it. So there's no like rage. There's no me screaming at the camera, screaming at you guys, because I just knew that it was gonna happen. But when we can come together and sort of talk things out, and I think it's good for everybody, and it is sort of like a therapy session. You know what I mean? So, um, plans is I don't know about live tomorrow. I will keep you guys posted. You know what I mean? In the Discord, and I'll try and do a community post as well. There is the Champions League. I don't really like to go live during Champions Leagues. It's just not good for views. It's not good for reach, and it's not good for really conversation and stuff like that. And also, I want to watch it. You guys want to watch it as well. So, um, if anything, um, tomorrow, we would go live at 7 p.m. UK. That would be the time from 7 to the start of the Champions League matches at 8 p.m. UK time. So if we're gonna go live, just be on the lookout around 7 p.m. UK. If not, the same would apply for Wednesday. It depends, what stuff comes out. Is there much traction? Is there stuff to talk about? Is there a conversation? I don't want to be forcing live shows either. We want to do quality over quantity. So that's kind of where I'm at. And just if we don't do a stream Tuesday, Wednesday, then we will definitely I'll pop up for Thursday. Thursday is Thanksgiving though in America, so but I'll come say hi, and we'll do something. It won't be long. So again, everybody have a good night. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in to the watch along and tuned into this one, or if you tuned into either or, greatly appreciated. Be good, stay safe, and we'll speak and we'll see each other very, very soon. So have a good night, guys. I wish we had a better result and performance today, but we move, and on to the next one. So everybody be good, stay good, and we'll talk very, very soon.